Hey everyone, I'm Karen. This is Karen Puzzles, and today I thought that I would do something a little different and step back for a minute and talk about why jigsaw puzzles. Out of all of the hobbies in the world, all of the things that you could spend your time on, why is this the one that I've chosen? And why have I, made an entire YouTube channel about it? So back in 2017, a writer named Rachel Miller put up a post on Buzzfeed called The Piece of the Puzzle. It's a really great article. It really put into words a lot of what I had always thought but never really knew how to articulate. And the very last line really stuck with me. A puzzle won't solve all of your problems, but a puzzle is a problem you can solve. So good. I want that on a shirt or something. So everybody in my family loves puzzles. My mom and her sisters are all amazing at crossword puzzles. My sister does the cryptic crossword puzzles, which is like a crossword puzzle, but all of the clues are like wordplay and riddles. And I still don't understand how most of them work until she sits down and explains it to me. But as the artist of the family, I guess, I've always been drawn to more visual puzzles, jigsaw puzzles. Here's my problem with crossword puzzles. It's that you need to have specific knowledge in order to solve them. So, I like crossword puzzles. I do the New York Times Monday and Tuesday every week, but good luck getting anywhere in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you don't know your classical music terms or your obscure Greek gods. But with jigsaw puzzles, you don't need any specific outside knowledge or any extra tools. It is all about the visual and being able to recognize patterns and shapes and colors. And this might be kind of a weird skill to be proud of, but I have really, really good color vision. I can differentiate between the slightest differences in color, and I love practicing and using that skill. That's also why I love the game I Love Hue, which just added a ton of new levels. If you didn't know, I've been working my way through them. It's so fun. I can sit there for ages just moving colors around until the chaos has been calmed and everything is in order. I'm not the cleanest person. I always have clothes on the floor. Not everything in my apartment always goes back to the place where it needs to go right away. But when it comes to mindless organization and sorting things by color, like the way that I sort out all of my perler beads, I can just sit there for hours just sorting out the colors. It makes me so satisfied. There's nothing that I love more than creating order out of chaos. And as you can see, the most clearly with the gradient jigsaw puzzles, but really with any puzzle, it is the exact same thing there. So another thing that I love about jigsaw puzzles is that there is a right answer. Literally every other aspect of the world is in shades of gray, like that gray area where puzzle there's a joke somewhere in there. I have not found it. So when you're doing a jigsaw puzzle, there is a correct answer. There is one correct answer, and every other answer that you try to put together is wrong. There's only one. And no matter if it takes you an hour or a week to put together, that puzzle is going to look the same once you're finished, no matter how long it took you to get there. And I find that comforting. I like having a task and knowing all of the steps that it takes to complete that task and having a specific point when that task is finished. When I'm working on a craft project, I could theoretically work on it forever, changing all of the little details, kind of finessing it until I feel like it's finished. But there's never any single objective point where you can say, this fully creative project is finished. But a jigsaw puzzle is the perfect mix of assembling something but not having to create it yourself. It's like following a Lego instruction book or building IKEA furniture. You feel productive, you feel like you're creating something, But the thing has already been created, you're just assembling it, and it is so nice to use my hands and feel like I'm building something, but not have to use any of that precious creative brain power. When I spend all day making craft projects or editing or doing graphic design work or any of these creative fields where there are an endless amount of potential right answers, it is just so calming to work on a project where there is one single right answer and it's still visual, but I can turn off the creative part of my brain to get there. So jigsaw puzzles are essentially the only activity that I've found for myself where I can work on it essentially forever, endlessly. I'll stay up into the middle of the night. I never stay up late, but the only time I do is like when I'm doing a puzzle, and I will forget to eat. I never forget to eat. My meals are like my favorite part of my day, but I will skip meals if I'm so focused on a puzzle. I go into almost like a trance-like state where the only important thing is finding the correct next piece or moving on to the next section of the puzzle. It is similar to a flow state, which I looked up on Wikipedia. They describe it as the mental state of operation where you're fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the progress of the activity. It's characterized by complete absorption in what one does and a resulting loss in one's sense of space and time, which is basically exactly what I just said, only said in like a nicer way. I just feel so lucky that I have found a hobby that like allows me to get into that state, and that brings me so much joy because I know that a lot of people struggle to find that, and this is something that I've done my whole life. You know, I've been doing puzzles since I was a very, very small child, and I'm just so happy that, you know, I've found a hobby that I love so much. So I usually listen to podcasts while I work on puzzles. I've been doing this ever since I was in high school, and I was listening to Mugglecast and Pottercast while I was working on those giant puzzles that I showed you in my last video. And now I listen to things like My Favorite Murder, other true crime podcasts while I work on really cute, colorful puzzles. To me, that's the perfect day. But anyway, listening to podcasts creates the perfect balance of looking at something interesting and listening to something interesting, and it completely fills up my brain in a way where there is no more room for anything else, like for me to worry or stress about things. You know, I can just shut off my brain from everything else that's happening in my world, like in my life. Literally, it is the only activity where I can like blink and it feels like 5 minutes has gone by, but it's actually been an hour or 3 hours. That's why I only start a puzzle when I know that it's going to be a pretty light work day, when I know that I can take the next few hours off or take the whole day off, because I know myself and I will drop every other responsibility in my life to finish a puzzle. It almost becomes like a compulsion where it is so hard for me to pull myself away from it before I finished it. Luckily, I can control that. It doesn't like affect my life in a negative way because I have learned that about myself. And I know that when I have a lot going on that day, I cannot have a puzzle in progress. So when I do have like a free Sunday or whatever it is, and I can just sit there, work on a puzzle for, I don't know, 4, 6, 8 hours nonstop, that is the perfect day for me. Okay, so one more thing that I want to talk about. When I went to see the movie Puzzle, which I did have some issues about, I'm not going to get into that here, but there was this one line in it that really stuck with me. At some point, one of the characters in the movie says something like, "Jigsaw puzzles are just a hobby for bored rich people." And I was like, oof, that is too real. That hit a little deep. That's like, yeah. Because like, it's a little true. We're not changing the world with jigsaw puzzles. Sure, if you decide to glue them and hang them up, then you have, gotten a new piece of wall art out of it. But I always take mine apart after I finish them. So literally nothing in the world has changed between when I start a puzzle and when I take it apart and put the puzzle away. And as somebody who was raised to always have a project, to always be working on something productive, to always, be moving forward with productive activities, that does weigh on me a little. Because when you're doing a puzzle, as I said before, you're not creating anything, you're just assembling something that already exists. That's probably why I ended up feeling the need to create this YouTube channel so that I could, use my puzzling to make something new, which are these videos, so that I could, lessen some of that feeling of guilt and selfishness that I'm doing something that is, just for me and doesn't affect anything else in the world, or doesn't, be productive and make something new. The guilt, I think, is something that a lot of, people like millennials and people struggle with, feeling like everything in your life has to be a side hustle, has to be productive, has to be somehow like improving yourself or improving the world. And so when I just sit down and work on a puzzle, especially if I'm not filming it or taking photos of it, or, doing anything except for me, it just feels so selfish, and I feel so guilty about that sometimes. But I do have to just step back a little, and I have like an inner voice where I pretend like I'm talking to a friend of mine, but really I'm talking to myself, where I'm just like, girl, take a break. It is okay. I spend so much of my life creating graphic design work and YouTube videos and Instagram posts and photos that maybe it's okay to have a hobby that's a little bit selfish and just for me and lets me decompress and not get burnt out. I try not to let it swing too much the opposite way, where if I find myself doing a puzzle like every day, that's where I know I need to step back and be like, okay, why am I not being more productive? What is it about these other projects that I don't want to work on? Or like, what is it in my life that I'm escaping from mentally, not physically, but, so that I can just sit and work on a puzzle for 6 hours and not have to think about what else is going on in my life. If I'm spending a little more than, 6 hours every few weeks doing a puzzle, or, whatever the amount is, I don't know exactly how much, but if it feels like it's getting too much, that's where luckily I do know myself, and I do have the ability to step back and be like, okay, what's going on? What do I need to change? Why am I spending so much time on this mindless activity instead of everything else that's going on in my life? Okay, that took a little bit of a turn. That got a little personal, but do you guys want to know a little secret? Here's the thing. The puzzles that I enjoy the most are the ones that I don't film and the ones that I don't take photos of, the ones that I do just for me. Because when I'm filming them, and to a lesser extent when I take photos of them, it feels like my mind has to concentrate on this other thing, which is the filming and, making sure that the camera's still running and that I'm still in frame. And so I have to keep up with all of that because my camera is just on a tripod. I don't have anyone else in the room to help with that. It's just me. So that's like a third thing beyond the puzzle and the podcast that has to take up space in my brain. So when I can just sit there and not have to worry about, how to share it, how to frame it, how to make sure the lighting is good, how to make sure I'm still filming or taking enough photos, when I can just concentrate on just the puzzle, those are the ones that I enjoy the most. But at the same time, it is nice to be able to use my puzzling hobby and also feel like I'm being productive by filming it and creating videos like these. So it's kind of a balance. I don't film every puzzle that I do. I don't even photograph every puzzle that I do, although I do photograph most of them. It's very rare these days where I won't even take a picture of the finished puzzle, but I don't photograph the process of every puzzle that I do. So it's just kind of a balance. I found a way to use my puzzling to feel like I'm being productive and to create content that people want to enjoy, that brings in not a lot of money, a very small amount of money, but at least something where I feel like I'm getting something back out of it. And sort of the social capital of having followers and being able to get free puzzles straight from the companies because of that. That's a whole, we can get into a whole thing about social media and all of that, but I think you guys know what I'm saying. So I don't know where I was really going with that. I don't really have a conclusion there. It's just, another thing that I think about is, you know, how much of this hobby do I want to share with the world and how much of it should just be for me. When I started this channel, that's actually something that I was very worried about, is that, you know, this is my favorite hobby and it has been since I was a very small child. And if I get, you know, burnt out on it from constantly creating content about it and constantly thinking about it, I don't want to lose that hobby and, you know, feel like it becomes work and not fun. Luckily, that hasn't been the case. I'm still really enjoying this. I love that I get to do more puzzles now because I'm creating all of these videos about them. But I'm not gonna lie, it is something that I was worried about, and it's something that I always have to kind of keep in the back of my mind and be like, okay, if this starts to not be fun, maybe I need to step back and remind myself, you know, and do some just for me and stop sharing it. But luckily that has not been the case yet, so we're all good there. So anyway, this video has been a little rambly, a little all over the place, but I think I hit most of the points that I wanted to hit. I'm so happy that I found a hobby that brings me so much joy and that I'm living in almost like a jigsaw puzzle renaissance where there are so many bright, modern, fun options. And the fact that I have sort of positioned myself and have the skills to be able to share all of those with all of you. Unlike, you know, if I had grown up in the 80s and YouTube didn't exist and all of the puzzles were this one. I'm sorry for bringing that back, but, you know, you're all cursed now, so you're welcome. Maybe for April Fool. Oh my God, for April Fools. I should try to get that puzzle on eBay. Okay, well now I've said it, so I can't do it, but how funny would that be? Okay, next year for April Fools, once you've all forgotten about this, the puzzle's coming back. You just wait. Anyway, I would love to know in a comment right down below if any of you can relate to any of what I was saying about puzzles, either the good or the bad. Thank you so much for watching this like very weirdly specific YouTube channel. This is super niche. But if there's one good thing about the internet, it's that it has allowed small communities like these to grow and to thrive. And I always say to people, I love the puzzle community. Oh my God, I'm losing the light. Okay, I have like 30 seconds left of this video, so I'm just gonna finish. I always say to people, I love the puzzle community because there is zero drama and because nobody knows who anyone is, because we're all just posting pictures of our puzzles. It is the most supportive and wholesome community that I've ever been a part of. Oh, and the light's back. Okay, so anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna go. I'll see you all next time with a less rambly video, one with more puzzles.